In a world of challenges and uncertainties, hope shines as a beacon, guiding us through the dark times and showing us the way to brighter days ahead. But what exactly is hope? Where does it come from? And how does it shape our lives? I'm Annie Bennett, and I'd love you to join me on this journey as I explore the meaning of hope. I'll delve into philosophical perspectives, personal stories, and scientific insights to understand the power of this elusive emotion. So whether you're seeking inspiration, comfort, or simply a deeper understanding of the human spirit, let's embark on this exploration together and discover the extraordinary power of hope. Hello and welcome to the Chronicles of Hope podcast with me, Annie Bennett. Now, today's episode is probably going to be a little bit different. I have a guest with me, a guest that I've been wanting to have on the podcast for quite a while, but up till now he's not felt able to, and you'll find out why as we go along. This person is one of my long-term friends. He's probably the person I've known for the longest outside my family. And we've done so many things together, mainly theatrical, but all sorts of other bits and pieces as well. And we might touch on that as we go through. But currently, how can I describe it?
Recovering?
He's currently recovering from illness, and he'll describe that to you. But I'm absolutely delighted today to introduce my friend, Mark Lacey, to the podcast. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Annie.
How are you, my love?
I've had better years.
You have. Now, what I would like to do is I would like you to tell my lovely listeners a little bit about you. Not too much, though. We haven't got hours, love. All right.
Okay. You know me so well.
But a little bit about you and sort of how you've got to where you are now.
Yeah, sure. My background in terms of with relation to your Chronicles of Hope and the relevance of that, I am I think what they like to call a high achieving, high functioning, mentally ill human.
Right.
And I don't like the word mental illness.
No.
We can talk on that later. I don't even like the word mental health, mental anything, but that's a whole other world. But I have struggled all my life with mental health issues, which have required all sorts of weird and wonderful medications and interventions and therapies, and I was, born. I'm 57. I don't mind telling you. I was born at a time when sort of mental health wasn't even a thing. In fact, I found my old notes the other day, and the doctor's notes, my original diagnosis was attention seeking,
Right.
which is apparently is a diagnosis.
Right. Yeah.
When I was 10, because 10-year-olds don't ever attention seek, do they?
No.
That's something we should. So anyway, it starts there. But more recently, I don't want to go into the whole story about that. But more recently, what happened was that I had a bit of a crisis episode where I moved to a new place. I don't know why I did. Well, I do know why I did actually now. It's become apparent. I have ADHD. So I'm one of these people that has been diagnosed with ADHD. I know there are people that are cynical about that. Actually, they're wrong on so many different levels. And if they did their sort of research, they'd realize, well, actually, ADHD is underdiagnosed, not overdiagnosed. I am so ADHD. I am 8 out of 8, 10 out of 10 ADHD. And so I've had a whole life of having to sort of try and fit in with a neurodivergent brain, and everyone telling me I'm brilliant and inventive and energetic and all that, but no, we're not going to give you a job, this kind of thing.
Yes.
Or I can't. Yes. I struggle to hold down, or your ideas are a bit too way out for us, or we love your creativity but not that creative, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's been a lot of that going on, and as you can probably tell from the way that I tell an anecdote, I hover around all over the place. That's ADHD, so you just have to bear with me on that. But anyway, I moved into a flat in a place that I didn't know anybody. I was 55. A friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, died the same week, and I had to deliver the eulogy. I didn't have a job at the time, and suddenly I had this kind of late midlife life crisis where I thought, I'm, what am I doing? It felt like all my career. I have a background in performing arts. I direct, I act, I write, I do all these things. My career had been going very well, and suddenly it was like, well, who am I? No one cares. What do I do? It just felt awful. It was right to the core of myself, my self-esteem. I didn't know who I was, didn't know where I was going, and I became ill, and I couldn't really function. I get what's called agitated depression, which is a particularly vicious kind of depression where I don't sit around in bed all day. I actually walk all the time, so I was walking 20 miles a day, um, just because I had to keep moving and distracted, and my brain was going, and I was trying to work out what I need to do in my life. My brain wasn't really in gear, and I'd cry a lot, and I just couldn't function. And then you have to start dealing with the services. So you reach out to the mental health services and NHS, blah blah blah. Kent mental health services are absolutely appalling. They are statistically the worst in the country by a country mile. And I would argue actually probably did more harm than good in many ways. And then they put you on medications, and I have terrible, terrible side effects to medications. So you feel disempowered. So there's this whole world that you get thrown into. And this has been going on for the best part of a year now. And I've done everything I can. I'm not the sort of person that sits there and, just sort of deals with, just sort of lets it rot and watches television. I can't watch television. I can barely sit down. So then what happens is that I end up thinking about it a lot. I'm always doing things. I'm overactive. I try and do all the different exercises you have to do, and the mindfulness, and the podcasts and YouTube videos and all this stuff. But it's been a really, really difficult time. I've been in and out of it, and you know this. You've seen me at my worst. When at my worst, I am screaming, crying. I feel like it's the end of my life. I feel like I can't carry on. I don't have a family, in terms of I don't have my own, nuclear family. It's it, it messes with your emotions, your feelings. You don't know who you are. The experience of it is something that you can only really understand if you've been through it. Psychiatrists don't really understand it. Psychologists don't really understand it. And so up to now, I have been in a situation where sometimes even just talking is a challenge. And one of the reasons that I thought would be interesting with you was because I knew you were doing the podcast. You've been asking me for a while, and sort of said when you're better. But I think what's interesting is because it's called Chronicles of Hope, and it's made me reflect on hope and what hope means for me, and how I've used hope to what does it mean when you're in a situation which I was in, where you want to die, and you're in an illness that is telling you that you want to die, and that by its nature is hopelessness. Depression is by its nature one of its symptoms is you have no hope, you have no self-esteem. It robs you of it, and it's not you, it's an illness, like any other illness. That's a symptom of the illness. It's not that you can do anything about it. So in those situations, sometimes I found that whenever anybody, if I was, I don't know, on YouTube or something, and I'm looking at these toxic platitudes, kind of saying, hey, today is the first day of the rest of your life, you just want to literally throw the phone through the window, because you're like, how many times do I hear that? And my brain can't hear that. So that form of hope is actually hopeless to me in that situation. So I think it's an interesting one about, if people are listening to this and I think they are feeling hopeless, I think having somebody who has come out the other end going, you've just got to get through to the next day, has value. Don't get me wrong, these things have value. But sometimes you are like, please shut up. Please shut up. You have no idea what you're talking about. So if not that, then what?
Absolutely. And you're right, I have seen you sort of at your worst, if you like, over the last year. And it's been, I mean, frustrating for me in that there are times that I just didn't know what to do or say. I just had to sort of be there and just let you do what it was you needed to do. And we have talked about hope a couple of times sort of during that time, because you knew I was, what I was doing with the podcast and everything. And we did have some interesting conversations, but I'm interested to know how then you got from your absolute utter hopelessness that I've seen you in to now. What's the process that's taken you from that I really don't want to be here anymore to now where you say, now that you're perhaps coming out of that hopelessness and moving forward? What's the process between the one and the other?
So one of the techniques that I used, which I was introduced to, which I think is an amazing technique, is a technique called radical acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fairly lucky in a way, in that I have always known that, and this is just an instinct that I have, I've always known that even in my most hopeless states, even though my emotions are telling me everything is hopeless, what's the point? There is no future. You are awful. You are the worst person in the world. Nothing will ever go right. It's just going to be like it was in the past. It's just going to be this pain forever and all this kind of stuff. I've always managed to have some part of me that's tenacious,
Right.
actually,
Yeah.
and goes, no, it's a stubborn part of me, which goes, no, I'm not, I've got to just get through. And that's that. And so there is that part. So I do have a kind of an innate grit, if you like, that is quite resilient to that kind of thing. But what I found was, going back slightly, is what's interesting is that you said, you didn't know what to do. It's hard for other people to know what to do. And there's another side to that as well, which is that the person, for me, can feel that from the other person. So you get into this weird state where everything inside you is going, please help me, please help me. But because were all experiences, including yours, including what you're going through or other people are going through, suffering by its very nature is a very individual and very lonely experience, because no one can really know how you're suffering or what it feels like. But everything in you wants to sort of go, sort of lay it out on the table and go, if I could make you see it, then you could give me something that can make that go away. And then of course that can't happen. And that's the first step, is to realize that cannot happen, which sounds negative. Is actually no one can take that away from you. And what would happen to me, I noticed, was that hope initially I thought was a kind of, people would often say things to me, or I'll try and say to myself things like, the future will be better. That hope means projecting into the future, that there's an idea that there's something to be hopeful for. And my mum, for example, who again was in your situation, because I had to stay with my mum, and my mum was, felt helpless, and she did really well. But she'd often say to me things like, you've just got to get through today, and then, tomorrow will be different. Okay. Now that works for a bit. Then after a while, you start going, well, hang on, we're saying this every day. It's a bit like, using a musical theatre reference, Annie, the sun will come out tomorrow. And at some point, you've got to think, well, Annie's a bit thick, because if she's singing this every day for 4 years and the sun doesn't come out tomorrow, she's having to sing the same song, then at some point, the soul's going to go, we can keep saying tomorrow's going to be a better day, but at some point, you go, but it isn't. So how long is this going to go on for? So it actually can make you more despondent, and to a certain extent, I think there's a sort of feeling that is almost like fatalism, as if something's going to happen. If I just believe that something's going to happen in the future, and tomorrow is going to be better, and it's inevitably going to get better, that can work for a bit. But actually it can also, for me, I found that it also became detrimental, because it at some point you have to go, what if it doesn't? Or actually, but it isn't, I'm getting worse, or I can't envisage a future, or these kind of things come into your head. So what I realized is hope is something that happens in the present. And hope is, by its very nature, a bit like faith, is about uncertainty. Hope is not saying I hope for something specific. So I'm hoping for you know, I'm hoping for a different life, and I'm going to envisage that life, or I'm hoping for to go to Japan next year or whatever.
Yeah.
These are good sources you can use.
Mm.
But of course, if that isn't going to happen, then it can destroy your hope. You know, it's like, well, I remember last year hoping that I was going to go to Japan, and now I'm actually getting worse. So what do I do? So for me, it's more about hope is about, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't know but what I do know is I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning. And what I have to do is I have to radically accept what is going on. And radical acceptance is about saying, this is the situation as it is. This is I am suffering, I am hurting, my situation isn't great, but wishing it was other is actually going to make it worse, which it does. Wishing that it was something else and that I was something, which by the way is what other people want for you.
Yeah.
And this is where it becomes really hard, because other people often feel uncomfortable around you, and what they want, which is a very, very good, compassionate part of them, they want to take your suffering away. And the problem is they can't. Not really. What they can do is they can be there, they can help a bit, they can maybe try and distract you, but they can't take your suffering away. And so what happens is that they then feel disempowered, and you feel disempowered because they're in a position where they want to see you being better. And often that means presenting as better. Oh, he's having a better day today because he's managed to get out of bed. But actually inside you're like, yeah, but actually I still feel awful. And I can't bear it. But because I can get out of bed, you feel better. So that makes me feel a bit better. And then it becomes this weird sort of codependence.
Right,
Do you see what I mean?
I get that, yeah.
So people are often well-meaning, they are uncomfortable with you crying or you being in a very, very distressed state. But rather than saying, this is what it is, I'm just going to sit here with you while you're going through it. I'm just going to sit here and sit in the mud with you, which is all they can do. There's a tendency to want to give you a pill, take it away, make it better, blah, 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 which is a very good intention. But actually, it can make you feel guilty. But also, what it's doing is it's saying, I don't accept, I'm not validating that suffering. And what you really want is someone to go, I see that you are really struggling. And it's horrible. But let's just sit with this together, because it will pass. And it does pass. It has to pass, because all things pass. So it's about radical acceptance. It's not about indulging the suffering, but it's about saying, at the moment, I'm having a hideous time. At the moment, and I accept that. The next step for me is to try and learn to then say, and this I found very hard, is to then say, give yourself compassion for that. And to think, well, if I was a child and I was going through that, what would I do? But what I wouldn't do is say, come on, let's get up and let's get up and do something. I'll be like, okay, let's just sit here and I'll give you a cuddle and we'll
just be in the moment.
Be in the moment and encourage, reassure, and just and tell it like it is. It's a feeling. It's a horrible feeling. Suffering is a horrible feeling, but it's just a feeling. It's not going to kill you. You think it is, but it's not going to kill you. And it's that. It's things like that. So hope to me is something that happens in the moment, not in the future. It's interesting. Whereas I think for a lot of people, hope means, if I hope for this thing.
But you're right. It is. It's sort of synonymous with faith, isn't it? Having faith that actually, if you just hang on,
It's embracing uncertainty. It's going, I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. It may be worse. It may be better. But either way, I will bear it. And people often say, but I can't bear it. And this is an interesting one. And I said this, and I get to my mum, I can't bear it. I can't bear it. But the truth of the matter was, I was bearing it. Otherwise I wouldn't be here. I was bearing it. But sometimes we think we can't, even when we're saying I can't bear it, it's like, but you are bearing it. You are. It just feels like you can't bear
Yeah.
it, but you are bearing it right this very second. In saying I can't bear it, you're still bearing it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you have no option
Yeah.
but to bear it.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's the options that you
Yeah.
have. I mean, one sort of theme that's come up with a lot of my podcast guests is that hope is on its own won't get you anywhere unless there's some kind of action taken
100%.
behind it. Yeah.
And this is why I said earlier about the, hope for I think can be misconstrued as a superstitious thing.
Yeah.
I hope, if I say I hope tomorrow's going to be better, there's an element of superstition around that.
Yeah.
Like there's an interventionalist thing going on, like someone's just going to come, something's just going to happen spontaneously. It's like, well, what? Why?
Yeah.
It's like that. To me, there's a disempowerment about that, which is what you need to do is get power back.
Yeah.
And say, actually, in my small way, what small thing can I do?
Yeah.
Even if I don't know what that thing is.
Yeah.
Even if I'm clambering in the dark, I have to scramble with that. I have to sort of claw in the dark, knowing that I don't really know what it is, but I've still got to kind of do something.
Yeah.
Because being inert is not going to do anything, and hoping that something's going to come in and sort of rescue me is a very infantile.
It is.
way
And
of
I look at the word luck the same.
Mm.
People saying good luck, and I've stopped saying good luck to people now because it's pointless. Why rely on some unseen force to get you what you want? You've got to be in control of it yourself, haven't you?
Yes, or at least do something.
Yes, exactly.
There is an element of luck. I mean, there is always a definite chance and luck and all that, but it's not just gonna fly in the room like the angel Gabriel kind of flying in and going, here so hope is not for me about a superstitious idea that tomorrow may be better and I have no power over that. Which I think for a lot of people it is. It's a kind of hand wringing, a sort of maybe, hopefully, and then what they do is they look for signs like, I feel a bit better today. Oh, that's good. That's a good sign that to think hopefully things will get better now. And there's a bit of superstition around that. Whereas what I found is that can sometimes be a bit misleading. You need to kind of go, well, this is what's happening today. Some days I'm going to feel better, some days I'm going to feel worse. That's a judgment of my experience. That's like saying, again, if you're thinking of hope, okay, let's put it this way, with duality and things like that, that would imply that if I'm having a bad day, that hope has abandoned me. So fate has abandoned me on a bad day, and fate is in my favor on a good day. Well,
hang on.
You can't have it both ways. So best to sort of say, well, that doesn't work. It's not about fate. It's about, this is just what it is. This is my cross to bear. This is my situation at the moment. And I have to be kind to myself as best I can, whatever that means. And I have to keep going. But I have to say that what I often say, so this is quite, I think, useful. What I'm often saying to friends of mine, it's amazing how many people struggle with this, because to me it's an obvious thing. But anyway, that's just because I don't know, people are funny, but people are weird. Is that one thing about mental health issues, depression, anxiety, things like this, is I think particularly if you're a high achiever like me, people assume that when you're doing well or not.
Right.
And where you can look for hope in others, what's useful is number one is that someone's there, full stop. No matter who, there's always someone there. Even if you're on the street, we have this idea that the world is this kind of vicious place, and that's what the illness tells you, and that's what your situation will tell you. But actually, my experience is people do look out for each other. If you go up to someone and say, look, I'm really struggling at the moment, first person might say, I don't care, I'm going to walk away. But there will always be someone who will go, okay, I can't save you, but I can go with you a few steps here. What's the other thing I could say? ADHD brain. And the other thing is to just keep reminding that person what I often need is someone to be my coach for me, and say, do you remember that 2 weeks ago well, actually now you're doing this, so you're getting better, or because someone often with mental health issues will have low self-esteem, and when they're going through a crisis they cannot see that. But it isn't about what they're good at, it's about them.
Yeah.
You have value no matter what you're good at. So it's not like, oh, you're so talented.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. But you need someone to sort of say, to cheer you on.
Yeah.
And I think we did this, didn't we? We did this thing in the early days where I called you,
Yeah.
and I said to you, I specifically asked you and said, I'm going to call you every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want you
You did.
to
Yeah.
say to me, what's today's win?
Yeah.
Because I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I need somebody else to prompt me, because your brain doesn't work like that when you're people assuming you can do that.
Yeah.
And you can't.
But you can't, because I mean you've been dealing with so much. I'm talking about, taking hope from action, that all the way along, although it's been a real struggle for you, you have made decisions and decided, made choices to move yourself in the right direction, or potentially move yourself in the right direction. So you've opted in for some treatments and things like that. How do you feel now about, looking back at, because it's been over a year, hasn't it? Gosh,
way over a year.
way over a year. How do you feel about, when you were embarking on certain treatments? How did that feel in terms of hope? Well, this is the one that's gonna mend me, or was it just no, this is something I've got to try, otherwise.
This is what I mean by the clawing in the dark. I mean,
Mm.
I feel very resentful, actually, weirdly, about the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a part of me, and again, radical acceptance. So rather than going, I've got to be some martyr who goes, like the people that you get on YouTube going, I struggled through 50 years of this, and now I feel like, it's like, I don't feel like that. I feel incredibly angry about what I've been through. I feel very resentful about the fact that I had to do these things, that I'm of an age where I go right back to things that have happened from me like 10 years ago, and I'm thinking that shouldn't have happened to me, that was an injustice, and all this. But right up to, I tried, psychiatry for me is an interesting one, because psychiatrists put you on pills and things, and although they're a necessary evil, and I could do a whole podcast about medications, you feel very disempowered by these medications. They can have some very awful side effects. You're not monitored really, and so you're doing these things, and the things you're doing to step forward can sometimes be painful and not work, and you can feel misunderstood. And you're saying, yes, I'm stepping forward and I do things, but some days I just can't, and I will wake up and I'll be like, how am I going to get through today? And and I'll go to, I don't know, I'll call someone and say, well, have you done your mindfulness, and have you done your colouring in, and have you done your contacted your CBT therapist? And I mean, I know it all. I've been there and done it. And some part of me goes, I'm just tired. I'm exhausted by this. I'm exhausted. I just want a normal life. And I find this very hard. And so there are days where I feel very resentful. And I feel like some people sort of don't get that, because again, there's often a tendency to say, have you been swimming, or why don't you go and do some exercise? And you're like, I probably do more than you do. I probably do more than your average person does, just to stay balanced. And then this person is telling me to do more, and but again, with radical acceptance, I kind of go, and that makes me resentful, but I still got to do it. There's a technique, another technique that someone taught me, which is, I think, very useful. And by the way, I've been exposed to many techniques. Many find just annoying me like crazy, and that's okay. If a technique doesn't work for you, just go, I'm sorry, this really annoys me. But one that sort of rang true of me is replacing but with and. So let me explain. What that means is, I'm waking up in the morning, I feel awful, I'm really resentful that no, I could go and go to the coffee shop and walk. I could walk to the coffee shop and have a coffee. But what's the point? I'm going to feel really miserable anyway, and I'll be on my own, and it's not going to make any difference.
Mm.
That's different from, I could go to the coffee. I feel I've woken up, I'm really miserable. I could go to the coffee shop and I'm going to feel very, very lonely, and it's not going to make any difference. The difference is one, I'm going to get up and still go to the coffee shop. The other one is I won't do anything.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's a really weird thing. It's
Yeah.
understanding that actually you can hold both things at once.
Yeah.
I think what we tend to do is, what's the point? I'm not going to feel any better. Like, no, but you could do it anyway.
Yeah.
With, it's like, oh, I could do my accounts, but I'm just not in the mood. I'm going to do my accounts and I'm not in the mood,
Yeah.
but I'm still going to get my accounts done.
Yeah.
You can
Oh,
sit
that's
and do
really
your
good,
accounts and not be in the mood.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
doesn't precursor the other.
Yeah.
Who says you've got to be in a perfect mood to do your accounts? No one
Yeah.
wants to be doing their accounts.
No,
So
no
it's
one to do
yeah.
that.
So it's about it. So that's why I found that quite useful.
Yeah.
This idea of, even on the days that I resent and I hate it, and I wonder if I can, what tomorrow's going to bring, and what's happened to my life, and does anyone care, and all that stuff. I could use it as an excuse as to why I don't want to get out of bed, but it could be, but I might as well get out of bed and still be miserable.
Yeah.
At least I'm doing something. It's not
Yeah.
going to make you feel better necessarily, but
It's not going to make you feel worse
it's not going
either,
to
is
feel
it?
worse either.
Yeah.
One doesn't help the other. So
Yeah.
there's something around that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's admitting that there are days that I'm why I was interested in doing this podcast again, as I say, is because I'm not through it. There are days that I'm still hopeless. There are days that moments in every day probably,
Yeah.
where I just think, what is the point? What is the point? In or how can I do this?
Mm.
And each one is a kind of challenge, but the answer is, I recognize that and go, this is just a feeling of, well, what is the point? Is a feeling in its own right, and
Yeah.
I don't have the
Just
answer.
accept it. Yeah.
But I've got to have the hope comes with something. The sun will come up tomorrow. It'll be another day. It may be worse, it may be better, but I have no control. I have some control, but I don't know what's going to be yet.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee, but that's life.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. It's the same with everyone, isn't it? You don't know what's going to come tomorrow. You don't know what's going to,
No.
and you just have to deal with it. But I suppose, when you're in a situation like you are, it's
people with
far more
depression
intense.
or anxiety, or people who've been through difficult traumatic experiences, tend to think it's going to be the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
And it's recognizing that as well.
Yeah.
Going, it doesn't have to be, hey, tomorrow's going to be amazing, but it also isn't, tomorrow's going to be worse. It's going to be, I don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
It'll be what it'll be. And it's something about that.
Yeah.
It's something around going, just get through this moment, and something's going to change.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Now, we're coming to the end. Oh my goodness me, look at the time. Now, usually I ask my guests what their message of hope is, but I'm not going to ask you that. I'm going to ask you something different, because you've sort of talked about that already quite coherently. What I'd really like to know, from a sort of practical sense, if any of my listeners know people in your position who are suffering like you are, what are the worst things that people can say to you, and what are the better things that people can say to you? Give us some sort of guidance on that.
So I wouldn't.
Because I know you said to me before about, it's just one step at a time. And
yeah. The worst thing you can say to anybody is, well, for me. I mean, I can't talk about other people. But the worst thing you can say, platitudes are the worst thing.
Yeah.
By a long chalk. By that I mean, particularly sort of, the kind of shallow ones.
Tomorrow is another day.
Yeah. Or that's awful thing to do to someone, because it just makes you feel guilty.
Yeah.
It makes you feel guilty. Even reminding them of their good points, I find sometimes a little annoying, because there's an implication that you don't know that, because it's working at a deeper level than that. It isn't about what you do, it's about who you are. So no matter how much someone says, you're an amazing person, if you don't feel that they're an amazing person, you are. it doesn't help. So the thing you have to do, I find that works for me, and this is such a hard thing to kind of, okay, is the most important thing to do is to validate what they are going through.
Right. Yeah.
So don't say anything.
Yeah.
And B, don't try and understand them. That's awful. I get that a lot. It's hard to understand what mental health is like when you haven't been through it. I don't care. You know, I don't understand what it's like to give birth.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I can't listen to your experience of giving birth and have some empathy with that.
Yeah.
I don't have to understand you to be able to sit with you. I don't have to know what you're going through. So you validate what they're going through. And validation just means listening, active listening, sometimes you know, the thing about leading questioning. So
Yeah.
whatever they've said, just, you know, if someone says I don't know, I just feel really lonely at the moment, just repeat it. You know, you feel really lonely. Oh, what's that like? And let them sort of not even explain their experience, just say to them, sounds awful, it sounds absolutely awful, I'm so sorry, you know, that you're going through that. That is dreadful.
Validating it.
Let them possess it, because what often happens is everyone's trying to get rid of it, including mental health specialists. They're all trying to get rid of the feeling, and actually it feels counterintuitive, because you're thinking, well, are they going to indulge in it? But no, it allows them to be seen, and to go, I can still have these feelings, and I exist, and someone is seeing me. And they might be irritable with you, and they might be difficult, you know, because irritation is something that often happens, and I think it's a case of not taking things personally. The other thing that I would say is the big thing: do not say you will do something that you will not do. That's massive for me. A lot of people in the moment say things like, you know, I'll always be there for you, and make big promises, but make sure your promises are sort of real. If you can help in some way, you know, what do you want to do? I'm free next Friday. Do you want to meet up? Be free next Friday. Because to someone who is not very well, they will read that as I am absolutely nothing. So just always make sure that you stick to your guns. You can't save them. You can't make them.
Can't wave a magic wand, can you?
But what you can do is you accept them as they are. Make them a cup of tea, and let them talk. Let them not talk. Sit with them. And also what you do, which you've done with me, is ask them on a practical level, if there's a skill that you have, like I'm terrible at spreadsheets, or if they say something like, I can, you know, I need to find a place to live, or, you know, I need to find some food, I need to go shopping, go with them. You know, don't necessarily say, I'll do it for you, because that's just empowering, but also don't necessarily always assume that they can do it, which is a very big trend at the moment. If you don't do it yourself, and no one's going to do it for you, understand that they might, because it's an invisible illness, people don't realize that it has physical, sometimes they just can't, they cannot go, and it's like, well, should we go over there and do it? You know, do you want to come once a week and we'll just go shopping together? These are things you can offer, and they have a huge they can help that person step forward. But I would say that the big thing is validation. Validate them. Don't say anything that you feel. So even if they say something like, I feel like I want to kill myself, validate that first. Oh God, that must be horrible to have that thought. That must be awful. I cannot imagine. That's so must be very frightening. Did you hear how that's getting through, rather than, well, don't feel that. Or, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? You know, which just makes that person go, oh my God. You know, it's just
panic, like, and guilt.
It's just a feeling. You know, oh, that sounds awful. I can ring somebody, to ring somebody if they feel like they are. But it's the first thing you do is you validate them. Just that sounds awful. Brilliant. Sounds terrible.
Brilliant. Mark, thank you so
You're
much
very welcome
for talking to me.
That's all right.
I know we've talked for many a year, haven't we?
Many a year. Usually never as seriously as this.
No, we're being
is
very
quite-
serious today, aren't we?
Quite,
We usually talk quite a bit of cobblers,
Yeah,
generally, don't we?
yeah.
But no, this has been really good and really insightful, and I know lots of people that are going to be listening
Good.
are going to take a lot from it. So,
Yes.
Mark Lacey, thank you
You're
very
welcome,
much.
and good luck, everyone.
Thank you.
Out there. We will survive.
We will.
Thank you for listening to the Chronicles of Hope podcast with me, Annie Bennett. I hope you've found inspiration, comfort, or perhaps even a newfound perspective around the meaning of hope. To find out more about the aims of the Chronicles of Hope organisation, please visit thechroniclesofhope.org, where you will find links to our social media accounts and where you will be able to make a much needed and appreciated donation. Thank you.